Welcome to the Coffee Talk with P3 podcast, where we highlight local and regional nonprofits in the Southern California community. Let's listen in to today's guest on the Coffee Talk with P3 podcast.
Hello everybody, I am John Peterson with P3 Theater Company. Welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk with P3. I'm here today with the wonderful Madison Mooney of Long Beach Playhouse. Say hello.
Hello everyone.
And we're here to talk a little bit about you and your organization.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so how, Madison, did you get involved in theater?
Well, I got involved in theater probably like a lot of people as a kid, doing shows in school, elementary school and middle school, that everyone in the class was assigned a role to a thing. And then in high school, took some classes and then was on stage crew for a couple of shows and then was able to perform in a couple of shows and then came down here to Cal State Long Beach, go Beach, and I got my degree there in theater for both performing, stage managing, theater management, a lot of, it's a well-rounded degree.
It is. I'm familiar with the master's that they have there. That's like an MBA in conjunction with, which is, and they're also, Cal State Long Beach is a very reputable school for the arts.
Yes.
As well. So.
Yeah. The theater department undergrad is still, it's very, you're expected to kind of, take all these different classes and kind of just have a really well-rounded understanding of all the aspects of theater.
Mm-hmm. So do you have a preference of being on stage, backstage, managing?
I do enjoy performing, but everything kind of backstage, stage management was where I kind of found my passion in college, because kind of like stage managers get to know everything and they get to, help make sure everything's running smoothly, and that kind of just worked for me a lot. And then found theater management kind of after college, but I kind of like, I like both performing and backstage.
Cool. Have you performed recently?
I get to kind of do, as my role as the executive director at the Playhouse, it's difficult for me to do full productions that we do or other theaters put on, so I get to be a part of kind of smaller, shorter projects. I've worked with the Historical Society of Long Beach many times for their cemetery tour that they do every October. So that's kind of a couple of rehearsals and it's a long day event that I get to perform. And then we do an annual fundraiser in February, coming up February 2025, the Staff and Friends Cabaret. And so I MC that along with a few other friends of the Playhouse. And so it's kind of it's a 2-night event, so I get to perform a little and MC a bit. So I get to stretch my performing wings, in smaller doses.
Get to dabble a little
bit.
Nice. Cool. We got to keep that, it's because we're always acting in real life, so we've got to stay fresh.
Oh yeah, that customer service phase.
Yes, and the improv, especially when you're troubleshooting, putting out fires.
Yeah, figuring out a problem.
Yep, daily occurrence there. So how did you stumble across Long Beach Playhouse?
So while I was at Cal State Long Beach, I was looking for something to work on over the summer, and then reached out to the Long Beach Playhouse, like, hey, do you need stage manager? Do you need ushers, or whatever? How can I be involved? And so then I was connected with Andrew Vonderschmidt, who was at the time, technical and artistic director, and then he became the executive director, and now he's gone, unfortunately. Now I am the executive director. But I started stage managing with the Playhouse, and then got involved as an usher, a bartender, performer occasionally, and then was hired on in 2012 as the business and operations manager.
Okay.
So a lot of the non-artistic side of the how to run a theater with things like grants, budgets, all the money stuff, and managing the front of house employees and things like that. So then I got hired on in March of 2012, and so now it's been about almost 12 and a half years as business operations manager, and then now as executive director.
Excellent. It's funny, I've talked to some different theater companies or arts organizations, and a lot of them, there's a lot of longevity with the organization they're with, which I always say it speaks to the organization. If you're staying with them for that long.
I think with arts organization, I'm sure it's true for a lot of nonprofits, but I know just my experience with all the people I know in different arts nonprofits, it's like, you understand the building, you understand the organization, so it's kind of like, you're best suited, if you kind of stick with it and you make it, just better every year.
Yeah.
And the same with when you're trying to find people for a new position, or when someone is leaving and you're trying to fill a staff role, you look at all the people that are volunteering for you. Like, again, they know the organization, they care, and and those are the best people to kind of bring into the fold to be involved.
That's fantastic. How long has the Long Beach Playhouse been around?
So we are celebrating we're 95 and a half. It's our 96th Mainstage season coming up in September. We were founded in February of 1929.
Wow.
And while COVID kind of caused us all to have an asterisk in our season numbers and things, we still, we're 1929, so we turned 95 this year in February, with our kind of main stage season kind of being a constant throughout since 1929.
That is fantastic. All in the same building by chance? Or?
No. 1929 to 1951, we were in a couple of different locations, in a converted train depot for a handful of years. So it was the Depot Playhouse was the name for that. And then we've been on our place on Anaheim Street, across the street from a recreation golf course, and then kind of near the traffic circle. We've been there since 1951. So we've been there for a bit, but not the whole 95 years.
Since longer than you and I have been here.
Yes, yeah. It's basically the same. I think it was the building's a couple months older than my dad. So it's just kind of like, oh, it's perfect.
It was a good reference.
Similar birthdays.
Wow, that's crazy. For any business in this country anyway to last that long, it says a lot for that business. But for a theater company, because there are just so many more challenges, less funding opportunities. The arts is always one of those, disposable income situations where if there's less money, the first thing to go is the arts, the spending in the arts. So for you guys to be around that long is really a testament to what the Long Beach Playhouse is.
Yeah, we're a community theater, for the community, and we're by the community. Or, everyone involved with us are, they care about Long Beach and, the surrounding areas. So it is a lot of love, that's kept us going.
Mm-hmm. So are you able to, in a few sentences, viewers, there's no limitation, but kind of what is the mission and vision of Long Beach Playhouse?
So the mission of Long Beach Playhouse is to...
And you don't have to do it verbatim.
No, it's going to take, because I know it. It's one of those things that I know. To celebrate the human experience while we're celebrating the human experience, that's for sure. And then the second part of the mission is about welcoming the participation of artist and audience alike. The wording is slightly off, but it's something like that. And basically how we take the meaning of our mission is to have a wide variety of types of programming. We are fortunate to have 2 stages, so we get to kind of curate different types of theater in those 2 spaces to kind of hit different audiences and different people in the community. And then the participation of audience and artists alike, we're a community theater, it's volunteers, it's amateur actors that are, getting to do their passion, working on stage. And then for artistic, having the wide variety of types of shows and types of people that we get to work with, our goal is so that, everyone in the area would want to come, to one of our shows.
Mm-hmm.
Not every show is for everybody, but that's
right.
That's not the point. We want to make sure that everybody, feels welcome and feels seen, by seeing our productions throughout the year.
Excellent. I do want to clarify for the general public who may not be familiar. You mentioned that you have amateur actors that work based on a volunteer basis. What that means, amateur does not mean untalented.
Oh, yes.
Amateur
I just mean not unprofessional, or they're not being paid.
They don't do it for a living,
yes,
basically.
Everybody's day jobs or their students, so they have if they work at a bank. And then in the evenings, we have these rehearsals, and on the weekends, performances. It's a passion project. Like if you're in a rec league basketball league, you're not being expected to be paid like you're in the NBA.
Right.
You are doing this as as a hobby, as a passion.
Yeah, I've had the luxury of seeing several. What are they called? Performances, productions. That word. At Long Beach Playhouse, and you guys put on top-notch theater, and
that's our goal. That's what we're always trying to do. I appreciate you saying that. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. We're a community theater, and we are, we try to stick to professional standards whenever we can. With our limitations with budgets and building, and the limitations that we do have that. But we try as our best to have the highest production value for our price point.
And it's great to have that in the community, because even, and we'll get into the cost of production and how we fund those coming up. But with the lower, not having all those extra expenses such as cast salaries and that type of thing, you're able to keep the pricing of tickets at a reasonable rate that makes it more accessible to the community as well.
Yes, yeah, that is our goal to stay accessible. Everything costs more now. Like, unfortunately, everything costs more now. So, like our ticket prices are a few dollars higher than, pre-COVID. But we do try to stay as affordable as we can, along with, figuring out discounts that we can offer and pay what you can, preview nights and things like that to stay accessible for everybody in the community.
Yeah, that's fantastic. In addition to bringing quality theater of your own to Long Beach Playhouse, one of the things we've been able to experience with our theater company is your studio collaborative.
Yes.
And I love that because there's not a lot of theater organizations out there that even necessarily have an opportunity to do something like that you guys do with that. And that is, I'll let you talk more about it, but we had the benefit of being able to go into Long Beach Playhouse in their studio theater, which is a great space, by the way, I love it, and bring a production of our own to them. But I know that you guys bring in not just other theater companies, but individual producers,
yes.
That type of thing. So would you like to talk about the studio collaborative?
Yeah, the collaborative is wonderful. We started that, I think it was either 2012 or 2013. I can't remember now, but basically it was kind of like, we do our own, productions, but we would always get people asking like, oh, I'd like to put on this dance troupe. I want to put together, this festival, or we have like an improv comedy group that would want to do shows with us. And we were very limited of, well, we have our own shows going on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we have rehearsals going on during the week. So the former artistic director, Andrew Vonderschmidt, who I mentioned earlier, he came up with this idea to kind of shorten our studio season in the upstairs space, and then those other months of the year open it up for other groups like P3, or if it's individual artists, or an improv troupe or a dance company to put on their work in our space. And one, it gives the smaller organization that not necessarily has their own space, it gives them, hey, this institution has been here for a while, you can use this, it's a theater, you're not going to rent a dining room and make it into a theater for a night, type of thing. And then two, our audiences then get exposed to these different groups that they may not necessarily have sought out or even known about, and so we get to put on shows, partner with groups to put on shows in the studio collaborative that we necessarily wouldn't be producing ourselves. So it's a different type of either theater, or if it's a different type of art with dance or comedy or musical reviews, things like that. So yeah, it's been great, especially coming back after COVID. So many places had to kind of shut down. Rent kept being due, and certain theater companies unfortunately had to close their spaces. So especially post-COVID, it's been very important to kind of just make sure, like, okay, like we have a space, and we have this program, like let's have this production company that used to, have a black box, in Orange County, let's have them put on a show here. So it's a great way to, like, as with our mission states, of the participation of artists and audiences. It's different artists that we get to work with that we might not necessarily be working with, on our regular shows, and then expanding our audiences for both them and ourselves. But yeah, it's a really cool program that we get to kind of work with, and each year it's a little bit different. We've got some returning folks that we work with often, but then every year it's kind of like this brand new thing, brand new company that we've never worked with, and the show's fantastic. So yeah, it's a really cool program, and it's a really great way to kind of add variety to what we present to our audiences. For
sure. And one of the things behind the scenes with that is that you guys make it very affordable to those.
Yeah, and that's also the goal.
Because one of the highest expenses, if you don't have your own space, even if you do have your own space, it could be the rent, but the renting of a space to do your productions, and the availability of actual theatrical venues is slim.
Yeah, and that can be when there are places you find it's very expensive, and it's an upfront cost that, depending on your organization, you're relying on the ticket sales to kind of back pay some of the expenses of the production. So with our collaborative, there's no upfront costs, and we kind of figure out a ticket sales split, and that kind of covers, like what we need. Like we have our box office staff and our house managers and our electricity and insurance and all that fun stuff. And that ticket split helps with our expenses, along then with the other organization not having to worry about as many. There's always costs, but other than the event rental space, that can kind of ease their budgets before the show goes on and ticket sales come in.
Yeah, and I also like that there's a vetting process They don't, you guys don't just take in any old act off the street. You, from what I've experienced, you take our information about the productions or things that are going in to make sure that it holds up to the standard that Long Beach Playhouse has set.
Yeah, we have kind of an application process, and also because it's fortunate for us, we get more than more people apply than we have slots. So we get 20 people, 20 groups, and we only have 13 available weekends. Then we have to whittle it down with making sure we have variety in the season, that we don't just have 6 different improv groups in 6 weekends in a row. That wouldn't exactly diminishing returns on that. We have a kind of a application and vetting process just to make sure that everyone can be successful together in the process.
Fantastic. And I'm assuming you guys operate on a season type schedule. Is it a calendar year? What are the month ranges?
So we have kind of a unique, with our 2 spaces, we're kind of all over the place. So we have our main stage season, and that kind of runs like a school year. We start in mid-September and then go into the very beginning of August with our 8-show season. And then our upstairs space in the studio, we have 5 shows, and they run from end of April, very beginning of May, until about mid-November. And so then it's, most of the time it's January through March for our collaborative. Occasionally we'll have some collaboratives in December if they've got holiday stuff, but most of the time the January through March is the collaborative season.
That's a lot of productions to undertake.
Yeah, we got a lot. We always have something going on.
And it's all great. And like you said, there's so much diversity in the material you bring to the stage, which is very exciting. Outside of the productions, do you guys have any other type of programming or anything at the Playhouse?
We occasionally will have, one-night fundraising events, kind of shows. We have our annual New Works Festival that ends up being a part of our collaborative series. We have a New Works committee. We receive new plays from people each year from, I think it's like mid-May to July 1st. So we recently kind of ended our application process. So right now we have a committee reading like 100 plays to then narrow it down to 2 winners. And then they receive a staged reading, an honorarium for the winners, the writers, and then a critique from a professional theater critic to kind of improve their writings and to find out, how to make this better, to have it go on to the next step with a workshop production somewhere. So we have our New Works Festival, and then the last handful of years, we've partnered with Jewel Box Children's Theater, which is a great, fantastic group. They started in Signal Hill, now they're in West Long Beach. We've partnered with them for a summer camp for the last couple of years. We used to run our own summer camp pre-COVID, and then kind of coming out of COVID reopening, it was kind of like, okay, we've got a lot going on. We got to hire summer camp counselors and do all this. It's like, let's partner with a great children's theater company that already knows what they're doing. So we've partnered now with Jewel Box for the last handful of years, and they put on their summer camp, an all-day camp. We have a half-day camp for about a month throughout July and the beginning of August. And so then we also will partner with Jewel Box for some of their classes at the Playhouse. So while we're not putting on our own youth education classes, we're able to partner with a children's theater company to still have that be a part of our organization.
That's great. Getting the next generation involved is such an important thing to do.
Yeah.
As well as the importance of bringing new works out to the forefront, because we can only watch so many Tennessee Williams plays, and only so much Shakespeare can be done. We gotta get the new stuff out there, so it becomes new classics. And absolutely, and then we'll be considered the classics, our era. Well, it makes me feel old. So when it comes to being able to actually produce all of these shows and have all these different programs and things going on, it's no secret that ticket sales and subscription sales don't foot the bill. Do not, probably in most cases, from what I've read and what I've experienced, about 30% or so ish. How does Long Beach Playhouse continue? How can you go beyond that?
Ticket sales, subscriptions is the bulk of our budget and our income and what we expect to bring in, and then we have fantastic donors, that support us, our patrons that will donate above and beyond their ticket prices. We also we have a number of grants it's me. I do get some help, some proofreading sometimes, but applying for grants, through the city or county or private foundations. The Port of Long Beach has a fantastic sponsorship program that they like to support lots of different types of nonprofits throughout the city. So we've been fortunate to receive some sponsorships from the Port, which we are very grateful for. And then it's fundraising events. We have an annual radio show that we do down at Keystone and Logan that we partner with Harry Saltzgaber to write a radio play to kind of poke fun a little bit at the city of Long Beach, and that's a lot of fun. And then it's things like Long Beach Gives that we have kind of these fundraising events to bring in a few extra donor dollars to help the bottom line.
So all of that is the work that goes on behind the scenes and off the stage. It's not just a bunch of talented people throwing something up on the stage. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it for sure.
Oh, for sure.
And you guys, with kind of getting back to your season a little bit in the programming, because that is the most important part of a theater company. Do you have subscription tickets available if people want to subscribe?
Yes. Subscriptions are available for the main stage season. Basically, the subscription, it's a discount, and you get tickets for the whole season at a discount, and you get your assigned seats, and you're always in the seat you want, as opposed to if you're buying a la carte and it's coming up to, we're going to be doing Fiddler on the Roof next summer, and if there's a seat that you like sitting in our theater, Fiddler's going to sell out. So you want to get your tickets early, make sure you get the right, you want the seat you want, because we have a lot of patrons that are very particular about what seat they want to sit in.
Oh, yes.
On the main stage. Subscriptions are available for the main stage season from now until the middle of end of September. And then we actually also have this thing we call the Passport, which is kind of a flexible subscription. So you can buy chunks of tickets at a discount, and then you get to pick, I want to see Passion of Dracula on Saturday, and I want to sit in section C, and then I want to see Christmas Carol, and I'm going to use 2 of my tickets from the Passport to see that. So it's kind of, you get to pick and choose which shows that you're going to see.
Oh, that's great.
So it's a bit, if there's 8 shows in our season, and if you're like, oh, I know, I've already seen Fiddler a lot, I don't need to see Fiddler again, then you can get a Passport, still get a discount, and then see the show you want.
Yeah, that's great, because like you said, not every show is for every person. So
exactly.
Having that ability to say, okay, I don't want to go see this, I don't like dramas, I only like comedies, or I don't like plays, I only like musicals. You can
still kind of pick and choose and get a little bit of a discount, which we're trying to make sure that people can afford to go out.
Absolutely. I still say broaden your horizons, though. I've never really liked play, or I should say I've never enjoyed plays very much, because I'm just musically oriented. But I had the luxury of being able to be one of the judges for the Hollywood Fringe Festival for a couple of their awards last year. Yeah. So I saw a plethora of plays, and I went, these aren't so bad.
You just got to find the ones that work for you.
Find the ones that, with the topics or the themes. Lots of great theater is out there, and Long Beach Playhouse is definitely on the top in the city of Long Beach. So
thank you, appreciate that.
Really excited to have you guys here today and as a part of this. So if anybody wanted to get subscription to your season, individual tickets, if they wanted to support Long Beach Playhouse, how can they do that? lbplayhouse.org. That's our website.
Phone number is 562-494-1014 if you want to call us.
There are those people who still do that.
Oh yeah, we get plenty of calls from the box office, And then if you can buy your tickets via our website, or you can call the box office over the phone or stop by in person, and donations are available to give on our website. And all the information on the upcoming shows, auditions, if you're a performer and looking to tread the boards with us, all of the audition information is on our website. lbplayhouse.org has everything you'll need, and then stop on by on Anaheim Street.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Madison.
Thank you, John, for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, that has been another interview with the lovely Madison Mooney of Long Beach Playhouse. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time on Coffee Chat with P3.
To learn more about the Coffee Talk with P3 podcast and the nonprofit theater behind this podcast, go to the P3 Theater Company website at www.p3theater.biz. That's P3THEATRE.biz. And if you are a theater and arts nonprofit that would like to be highlighted on a Coffee Talk with P3 podcast, or you know a nonprofit that should be highlighted, please email me, John Peterson, at john@p3theater.biz. That's JON John at p3theater.biz. We would love to start a conversation with you and your nonprofit. Looking forward to enjoying another coffee and discussion with you in the future. To learn more about the Coffee Talk with P3 podcast and the nonprofit theater behind this podcast, go to the P3 Theater Company website at www.p3theater.biz. That's P3theatre.biz. And if you are a theater and arts nonprofit that would like to be highlighted on a Coffee Talk with P3 podcast, or you know a nonprofit that should be highlighted, please email me, John Peterson, at john@p3theater.biz. That's Jon, John, at p3theater.biz. We would love to start a conversation with you and your nonprofit. Looking forward to enjoying another coffee and discussion with you in the future.